Hey folks, today I'm going to do just a quick little video. It's not an actual review of a gun, but it's a couple of modifications I've done to a couple of guns that I've got. One is going to be this Colt 6920. I took the quad rails off that I had on there, cut the gas block off, and then installed this BCM Keymod rail. And the other one is going to be my Geisley Super Duty. I mounted a Vortex variable optic to. So let me come up here and give you a closer look, and we'll talk about what all's going on here. All right, with the 6920 Colt that I had, it had quad rails on it, and I took the quad rails off. If you remember, it had the A2 front sight on it. I kept the gas block from it. I cut the sight off, trimmed it down to where it would fit inside this handrail, and it turned out pretty good. You can see this is the Keymod rail. It's not the M-Lock, it's not quad rails, it's the Keymod rail. And it was a pretty simple install. The hardest part was actually getting the rail over the top of the barrel nut. I didn't use a hairdryer to heat this up. I actually used a heating gun to heat the aluminum up to make it expand a little bit so I could push it over. But all in all, it didn't add any weight to the gun. Actually, it probably lightened it a little bit, and it allows me to get my hand a little farther out. So I really like this Keymod rail. I'm not a big proponent of Keymod or M-Lock. Either one of them is fine with me. They both do the job that I ask them to do. Next, let's go over and look at this variable optic I got on the Geisley. Right. This is my Geisley Super Duty. You can see, changed a few things on it, but it's still pretty much the way it was, with the exception of this. This is Vortex Strike Eagle. I know it's not the high-end one. It's a Strike Eagle, but it does basically what I want it to do. Never run a variable power optic on a rifle before like this, but I figured I'd give it a try, and might as well start somewhere fairly affordable just to see if I like it or not. I think I picked this up with the mount for about 300 bucks, which is actually pretty good. They're usually more than that, but I picked this one up on sale. Can't remember where I got it from, but it was somewhere around 300 bucks all in. It is illuminated. It has the illuminated reticle. If you'll see there, you can go from 1 to 12, I believe. But I took it and sighted it in, and I'll roll in some footage of sighting it in. I will say at 50 yards, this thing was a tack driver. It shot a group probably as big around as my fingernail right there, and I'll show it to you here in a minute. But anyway, let's roll in some of this video footage, and I'll talk a little more about it. All right, so I sighted the optic in at 50 yards. That's the zero I use on all my ARs is a 50-yard zero. It was pretty easy to sight in, nothing out of the ordinary. If you've sighted in a scope or an optic before, this is no different. Really easy. The one thing that I don't like about it is the clicks are very vague when you go to turn the adjustments. They're very vague, so you have to be real careful not to turn it too far or not enough. They're kind of like an EOTech. They're very vague. You don't feel them or hear them. They're not pronounced, but you can feel it if you're really paying attention to it, but they're kind of vague, like I said. The optic did everything I expected it to do. It takes a while to get used to the eye relief of an optic, of a magnified optic on an AR for me. I would need to be behind it. I'd need to spend quite a bit more time behind it before I felt comfortable using it in a self-defense situation. But it seemed to work fairly good. The reticle in it, I can't remember the name of the reticle or the term that they use for it. It's a pretty good setup. It's got marks in there for your 100-yard 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even all the way out to 8. I can't remember, but I know it goes to 600 yards or meters. And it's got your windage adjustment in there too for wind. It's a pretty good little optic for what you're paying for it. Now it's not like the Vipers. It's not on that level. The glass is pretty clear. It's not on the level of a Leupold or a high-end Vortex, but I didn't expect it to be. I expected it to be basically what it is, which is pretty good, and it is pretty good for the money. One thing that I can't figure out with it, I put this in my vise. I put a level on my top pick rail here, made sure it was level. I put a level on the top of the top turret. Both of them were level. When I took it out to the range, it appeared that the reticle was off just a little bit. It was canted just a little bit. That could have been me behind the gun, or it could be off just a little bit. I don't know. But I know that the top turret and the rail are both level with each other. So, and this rail is level with the back pick rail. So it can't be, the scope itself can't be off, one side to another. I think it's probably just me, the way I'm looking through it. But I sighted it in. This Geisley shot some amazing groups. I took a 50-yard, after I got it zeroed in, I took a 50-yard shot from the 50-yard line, and I literally shot a group about the size of my fingernail. And it shot great, and it was not match ammo. It was SIG bulk ammo that I bought in a 250 round pack. But anyway, I figured I'd touch base on that. It makes this thing even heavier than it already was, but it is what it is. Let's see, let's talk about this Colt 6920 for a minute. It had, when I got it, it had, before I get started, this is a 6920 upper, and it has an Aero Precision lower on it. I couldn't find a complete 6920, so I just bought the upper. I found an upper, and I bought it. So it's on an Aero Precision lower. Now, like I said, it does have government profile barrel. It's Colt barrel. It's got the Colt bolt carrier group, charging handle, everything on it. And it had the plastic handguards with the heat shields on it. I changed those out for some Troy quad rails. Then I ran across this, it was on sale, this BCM Keymod upper. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna buy that, I'm gonna slap it on there. So I took the delta ring and everything off, took the front sight off, cut that A2 front sight down flush, ground it down, contoured it the way it needed to be contoured, and I used it. When I got done, I re-blued it and I painted it so it won't have any corrosion issues there. Then I reinstalled it and put this Keymod rail on. The one reason I wanted to use my A2 front sight is because that gas block is pinned in place. And anytime I can have a pinned gas block, I would rather have a pinned gas block. They're bomb proof. They don't walk off. Screws don't have screws to back out. Those pins can't back out because they're trapped inside this rail. There's nowhere for them to go. But the hardest part about putting it on was actually getting it to fit over the barrel nut. I knew that going in that it was going to be really tight, so I took my heat gun and I heated up right around the base of it to expand the aluminum a little bit, and then I was able to push it on. It was a pretty tight fit, but that's good. It lined up great. A lot of people knock the Keymod rails, say they're not strong, they're weak. I don't find that to be true. I find them to be relatively strong. Are they as strong as quad rails? No, they're not as strong as quad rails. Are M-LOK rails as strong as quad rails? Heck no. I don't think any of them are as strong as a quad rail. But I mean, you're saving weight and also the girth of the rail itself. So I went with the Keymod rail. Like I said, Keymod doesn't bother me. I don't have a preference one way or the other. If I had a preference, it would be quad rails. They're strong. I can hang things anywhere on them I want to without having to add attachments to it, but they're heavy. So when I found this one, it was at a really good price too. I can't remember, might have been on their website or it could have been on Primary Arms. I can't remember. But when I found it, I jumped on it because it was at a really good price for this rail. So I sighted this one in too, and for a factory Colt barrel, non-magnified optic, I held a dang good group with it too. I've never shot a Colt that didn't have an accurate barrel. Every Colt I've ever shot was very, very accurate. That's one thing I can say about their barrels. I know they're chromed line and that degrades some of the accuracy, but boy, I'm gonna tell you, those Colt barrels, they shoot lights out. And there's other barrels out there that I'm sure are just as good, last just as long, if not longer. But all I can say is I've never had a Colt barrel or a Colt rifle, period, that wasn't accurate. So I just figured I'd do this little video, show y'all a couple of the modifications I did to my guns, and maybe next week I'll have a handgun video for you. And thank y'all for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, please, and we'll try to see y'all again next week.